The scream tore through the stillness of the apartment, sharp and ragged, echoing against the pale walls as Anna clutched her little boy close to her chest. Fear burned in her throat while Mark slammed the door, his face twisted with anger that left the air heavy with dread. The sound thundered through the hallway, rattling frames on the walls like aftershocks of a quake. Her heart raced as sirens wailed faintly in the distance, their haunting cry mixing with the silence he left behind. Daniel's small hands clung tighter, his sobs muffled against her shoulder as she whispered, "It's okay. I promise we'll be okay," though her voice trembled. Mark's betrayal seared deeper than his words. It was the kind of wound that shattered trust in a single strike. She felt the weight of every sacrifice, long nights at work, the lonely dinners, the years of trying to hold it together, crash over her like a storm. The apartment suddenly seemed colder, emptier, as if the walls themselves had turned against her. She pressed her cheek to Daniel's hair, closing her eyes, knowing in this moment everything had changed, and the world she fought to protect would never be the same again. Anna sat on the worn sofa, holding Daniel close as silence returned, heavier than the storm that had just left. Her mind replayed every word Mark spat at her before he walked out, each syllable cutting like glass. Daniel whispered, "Why was he so mad?" His voice cracked, too young for such fear. She kissed his hair, whispering, "Because he's lost not you, not us." The words barely steadied her own shaking. The room felt foreign now, shadows sharper, silence crueler. She thought of the years spent sacrificing for him, believing he would stand beside her when it mattered. Instead, betrayal hollowed her chest, a wound that bled silently. Daniel's small hand brushed her cheek, grounding her, reminding her of what mattered. She whispered, "We'll make it through, no matter what." The promise was fragile but true, her only weapon against despair. She tightened her arms around him, swearing silently she would never let him feel abandoned again. The clock ticked louder than her heartbeat as Anna paced the room, Daniel tucked beneath a blanket on the sofa. Each tick reminded her of the life unraveling in front of her. She pressed her palms against her temples, trying to stop the spiral of thoughts. Mark's face, twisted in rage, haunted her vision. Daniel stirred, whispering in half-sleep, "Don't go." She crouched beside him, stroking his hair. "I'm not leaving you ever," she whispered firmly. The promise steadied her, but fear gnawed at her bones. She thought of the bills stacked on the counter, the looming court battles, the loneliness pressing against her chest. Yet as Daniel sighed back into sleep, she realized she couldn't break now. His breath, steady and soft, was the rhythm that would keep her alive. She wiped her tears, standing taller, clutching the edges of resolve she wasn't sure she possessed. Anna stood at the window, staring at the city lights that flickered in the distance. The sirens had faded, leaving only the hum of traffic far below. Daniel's quiet breathing filled the room. She whispered, "The world feels so far, but it's right here, waiting to crush us." Her reflection stared back, eyes red, lips cracked. For a moment, she saw the girl she once was, before the battles, before the betrayals, and it nearly broke her. She pressed her forehead to the cold glass, feeling the chill seep into her skin. Memories of love, long gone, flooded her, Mark's promises, his laughter once warm. The ache twisted deeper, but she forced herself to breathe. "No more," she whispered fiercely. She turned back to Daniel, his small figure curled under the blanket. "I'll fight for you, no matter what it takes." The vow was heavy, but it sparked a fragile flame in her chest. The night stretched endlessly as Anna gathered the plates left on the table, hands trembling with each clink. The routine felt alien, as if normal life had cracked beyond repair. She stared at the half-finished meal, fork abandoned mid-bite by Mark, before his fury consumed him. Daniel's soft snores drifted from the sofa, a reminder of innocence untouched yet threatened. Anna muttered under her breath, "He won't take this from us." The words burned like steel. She stacked the plates carefully, as though balancing the fragile pieces of her world. The apartment felt hollow, each corner echoing with the memory of his departure. Yet within the emptiness she found a strange clarity. It was just her and Daniel now, against everything. She looked once more at her sleeping son, her lips curving into a faint, weary smile. "We'll rebuild," she whispered. The promise was fragile but fierce, like the spark of dawn in a darkened sky. Morning sunlight filtered weakly through the blinds, but Anna felt no warmth as she stood in the kitchen, clutching a mug of cold coffee. Daniel sat at the small table, his eyes downcast, scribbling on a scrap of paper, drawing a house with a broken roof. She forced a smile, saying, "That's beautiful," though her heart twisted at the image. The phone buzzed on the counter, a number she dreaded, her lawyer's office. She didn't answer, the silence filling the space louder than words. Daniel asked softly, "Will Dad come back?" She froze, then whispered, "He's not coming back, but we'll be okay." The lie weighed heavy, but it was the only shield she had. The kitchen smelled faintly of last night's untouched meal, stale and bitter. She took a shaky sip, staring at the bills scattered by the sink, their numbers glaring like silent enemies. Her resolve cracked, but Daniel's small hand brushing hers reminded her she had no choice but to fight. The day dragged as Anna met her friend Sarah at the corner cafe. Sarah leaned forward, concern etched on her face, her voice low. "You can't face this alone." Anna stirred her tea, staring into the swirling liquid as if it held answers. "I don't have a choice," she murmured. Sarah reached across the table, gripping her hand. "You've carried too much already. Let someone help you." The weight of betrayal had made Anna wary, trust fractured beyond repair. She looked at Sarah, remembering the times she had leaned on her, yet doubt gnawed at her edges. The hum of conversation around them felt distant, muffled. The world seemed normal for others, but for Anna, every moment was shadowed by fear. She swallowed hard, whispering, "I can't afford to fall apart now." Sarah's eyes softened, but her grip tightened, anchoring Anna against the storm. It was the first spark of hope she had felt in days. The weight of the day returned as Anna stepped back into her office, fluorescent lights buzzing above like angry bees. Her boss's voice cut sharply. "Late again, Anna. This can't continue." She clenched her jaw, muttering, "I know, I'll fix it." But inside, panic flared. Papers piled high on her desk felt like walls closing in. She sank into her chair, glancing at the photo of Daniel, taped to her monitor, his smile reminding her why she endured. Still, whispers from colleagues stung, their eyes following her with judgment. Her boss's glare lingered, a silent warning that her fragile stability was slipping. She typed with trembling fingers, forcing herself to focus. Every keystroke was a battle against despair. She thought, "If I lose this job, I lose everything." Her breath came shallow, yet she forced herself to continue, clinging to the thought of Daniel waiting for her at home. That thought alone kept her upright. Night settled heavy as Anna unlocked the apartment door, exhaustion etched into her bones. Daniel greeted her with a hopeful smile, holding a drawing of them together, stick figures hand in hand beneath the sun. "I made this for you," he said brightly. Tears stung her eyes as she crouched down, hugging him tightly. "It's perfect," she whispered, her voice breaking. The walls of the apartment felt less heavy for a moment, his innocence piercing the shadows. She placed the drawing on the fridge, pressing the magnet down with a trembling hand. Daniel's small laugh filled the air, a sound so pure it nearly broke her. For the first time that day, she felt a flicker of strength. She whispered to herself, "This is why I fight." Daniel leaned into her, yawning, his weight warm and comforting. She carried him to the sofa, laying him down gently, her heart swelling with love and fear intertwined. Later that night, Anna sat at the kitchen table, bills spread out like a battlefield. The numbers blurred through her tears as she pressed her forehead against her hand. Every debt, every overdue notice, screamed louder than words. Daniel's quiet breathing from the next room was her only comfort. She whispered to herself, "I can't lose him, not to Mark, not to anyone." The thought of court papers waiting crushed her, but she pulled a deep breath, forcing her hand to pick up a pen. Each note she scribbled was shaky, but it was a plan, however fragile. She promised herself she would fight both at work and in court, no matter how hopeless it felt. She whispered again, firmer this time, "We'll survive this." The words lingered like a prayer in the stillness. She sat straighter, tears drying on her cheeks, ready to face the storm gathering on the horizon. The courtroom loomed in her imagination long before she ever stepped inside, but tonight it haunted her dreams. Anna sat at the kitchen table, fingers twisting a legal notice Mark had sent through his lawyer. His demands cut like knives, calling her unfit, unworthy, undeserving. She pressed her palm flat against the paper, whispering, "He won't take you from me," though Daniel slept soundly in the next room. Her chest burned with rage and fear, a storm that churned with every word printed in black ink. The betrayal stung sharper because it wasn't just Mark now. It was the system, the endless tide of judgment threatening to crush her. She thought of the sacrifices, the nights without sleep, the meals skipped so Daniel would eat. And yet, Mark dared to claim she was incapable. She closed her eyes, swallowing the scream clawing up her throat. Tomorrow she would face lawyers' questions and lies. But tonight, she vowed to endure. The following morning, Anna stood outside her lawyer's office, nerves twisting her stomach. Sarah had insisted on coming, her voice firm. "You won't do this alone." Inside, the air smelled of stale coffee and ink. The lawyer, calm but distant, flipped through Mark's accusations with a sharp sigh. "These are heavy claims," he said flatly. Anna felt the floor shift beneath her. Sarah squeezed her hand, grounding her, but the weight of doubt pressed hard. The lawyer continued, "He's painting you as unstable, financially and emotionally. We need evidence to fight back." Anna's lips trembled, but she answered firmly, "I've given everything to my son. I won't let him win with lies." The lawyer's eyes softened briefly, then returned to cold professionalism. "Then prepare yourself, because this will get worse before it gets better." Anna nodded, her voice steady, though her chest ached. "I'll fight, no matter how brutal it gets." That evening, the betrayal cut deeper when Anna discovered Sarah had known something she hadn't. In a hushed voice, Anna confronted her, "You knew he was filing early, and you didn't tell me." Sarah's face fell, guilt flooding her features. "I wanted to protect you. I didn't think he'd follow through this fast." Anna's chest tightened, the hurt sharper than anger. "Protect me? You kept me blind." Silence stretched between them, heavy with regret. Daniel peeked around the corner, sensing tension, his wide eyes searching his mother's face. Anna forced her expression to soften for him, whispering, "It's nothing, go back to bed." He lingered before slipping away. Sarah reached out, her voice trembling. "I made a mistake. Please don't push me away now." Anna's jaw clenched, her heart torn between fury and the desperate need for allies. Betrayal upon betrayal left her shaken, but she swallowed the storm, whispering, "Not now, Sarah." At work the next day, the walls seemed to close in as whispers of her personal life reached her ears. A coworker leaned too close, voice dripping with curiosity. "I heard about the custody battle." Anna stiffened, her cheeks burning. Her boss passed by, eyes narrowing, his disapproval silent but sharp. She buried herself in paperwork, fingers trembling against the keyboard. The office chatter grew distant, muffled like water over glass. She thought of Daniel's smile taped to her monitor, the reminder of why she endured humiliation. Her pride screamed to fight back, but survival forced her silence. She whispered under her breath, "Focus, keep breathing." Every tap of the keys felt like striking back against the judgment pressing in on her. Yet doubt lingered, coiling around her throat. If she lost this job, she lost everything. Her chest tightened, but she raised her chin, forcing herself to face the storm. That night, Anna sat by Daniel's bed as he slept, his small hand curled loosely around a toy car. Shadows danced across the walls from the streetlight outside. She whispered softly, "I'll keep fighting, no matter what they say." Her voice cracked, but the words anchored her resolve. She smoothed his hair, watching his chest rise and fall with steady breaths, innocence shielding him from the storm. She thought of the lies, the betrayals, the way the world pressed its weight against her shoulders. Yet in this quiet moment, all of it seemed smaller compared to his fragile peace. A tear slid down her cheek, landing on his blanket, but she did not move. She whispered again, firmer this time, "You're my world. I'll never let him take you." The vow lingered like fire in her chest, both painful and powerful. She stayed until exhaustion dragged her under, her hand never leaving his. The knock on the door came just past midnight, sharp enough to wake Anna from restless sleep. She crept to the door, pulse racing, Daniel stirring faintly in his bed. When she opened it, a figure stood in the hallway. Michael, her older brother she hadn't seen in 15 years. His face carried both time and regret, gray streaking his hair. "You're in trouble," he said softly, voice heavy with unspoken history. Anna's breath caught, anger rising with disbelief. "You don't get to show up now," she hissed, but her hands trembled. Michael's eyes lowered, guilt shadowing his expression. "I know I left, but I've been watching, waiting. Mark's not just fighting you, he's using people you don't even know against you." The revelation twisted in her chest, betrayal spreading wider than she imagined. For years she had buried her past, believing her family had abandoned her. Yet here he stood, offering help, tangled in secrets she wasn't ready to face. Anna shut the door behind them, pacing the room as Michael stood awkwardly near the kitchen table. The silence between them stretched like a canyon filled with old wounds. She finally demanded, "Why now, after all this time?" His voice cracked, "Because Mark's fight isn't just legal, it's dangerous. He's digging into the past, into things you've tried to forget." Her chest tightened, memories she buried clawing at the edges. Daniel peeked from the hallway, rubbing his eyes, whispering, "Mom, who's that?" Anna swallowed hard, replying gently, "He's family, sweetheart." Michael knelt slightly, his expression softening. "I'm your uncle, Daniel." The boy tilted his head, uncertain but curious. Anna's anger flared again, fear woven into every word. "Don't drag him into this." Michael nodded slowly, voice steady. "Then let me help from the outside, please." Anna's heart battled with distrust, but the desperation in his tone pierced her defenses, forcing her to listen. Michael revealed piece by piece the secrets he had held. "How? Mark isn't just fighting for Daniel, he's working with someone who wants you ruined," he said firmly. Anna's stomach churned, her voice sharp. "Who?" Michael hesitated before answering. "A family friend, someone you once trusted." Anna's breath hitched, the betrayal too deep to comprehend. Her mind raced through names, faces, memories, twisted by suspicion. Daniel returned to bed reluctantly, leaving Anna and Michael in tense silence. She whispered, "You should have told me years ago." Michael's voice broke, "I was a coward. I left when you needed me most." The words struck her like stones, reopening old scars. Tears burned her eyes, but anger kept them from falling. "You don't get to fix everything now," she said coldly. Michael nodded, taking the blow. "No, but I can stand beside you this time if you let me." Anna turned away, torn between rage and need. The argument shifted into painful memories. Michael whispered, "I left because I couldn't face what Dad did to us." Anna froze, old wounds ripping open. The air thickened as she recalled years of silence, of abuse, hidden behind closed doors. "And you thought leaving me alone was better?" she asked, voice trembling with fury. Michael's eyes shone with tears, his voice breaking. "I thought I was saving myself. I didn't realize I was abandoning you." Anna's chest heaved, the truth she had buried now roaring back with fire. The room felt smaller, walls closing in with echoes of the past. She whispered harshly, "You don't get forgiveness that easily." Michael nodded, tears spilling freely. "I'm not asking for it. I'm asking for a chance to make it right." Her knees weakened, but she steadied herself, clinging to the strength she had built over years. For the first time, she saw not betrayal, but his brokenness too. Later that night, Anna stood by Daniel's door, watching him sleep peacefully, his innocence untouched by the storm outside. Michael lingered behind her, silent. She whispered, "He deserves a life free from all of this." Michael nodded softly. "Then let me help you protect that." She turned to him, eyes narrowed, heart torn. "If I let you in, there can be no lies, no secrets." His voice was steady. "I swear it." The weight of his promise filled the air, fragile but undeniable. Anna exhaled slowly, pain and hope colliding in her chest. She whispered to herself, "Maybe family can mean something again." For the first time in years, she didn't feel entirely alone. The night stretched long, but a flicker of strength glowed brighter within her. She touched Daniel's doorframe gently, a silent vow that their fight was only beginning, and that she would take any ally she could to win. The courtroom's wooden walls rose like barriers around Anna, the air thick with judgment. Mark sat across the aisle, smirking, his lawyer whispering confidently in his ear. Anna's pulse thundered as her lawyer leaned close, whispering, "Stay calm. Answer only what you must." She nodded, but her chest burned. The judge entered, commanding silence, his gavel striking like a gunshot. Questions came sharp, accusing her of neglect, of instability. Her voice cracked, but did not break as she answered firmly, "I have given my life to my son. He is my world." Mark leaned forward, venom in his eyes, and hissed under his breath, "You'll lose him." Anna's resolve solidified, the fear in her bones twisting into fire. She whispered to herself, "Not this time." Every eye was on her, yet she stood taller. Her hands trembled under the table, but her voice carried strength, defying every attempt to crush her spirit. Outside the courtroom, Anna leaned heavily against the wall, breath shallow. Michael appeared at her side, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "You did well," he said firmly. She shook her head, whispering, "They don't see me. They only see his lies." Michael met her eyes, determination burning. "Then we'll show them the truth." Sarah arrived moments later, carrying a folder. Her face was pale, but her voice steady. "I found something. Financial records Mark's hiding." Anna's heart skipped, shock cutting through despair. "Are you sure?" Sarah nodded, her expression fierce. For the first time, hope surged within Anna, fragile but powerful. She whispered, "Then we fight with everything." The hallway buzzed with voices, but for Anna the world narrowed to this moment, a chance to strike back. She straightened her shoulders, clutching the folder like a lifeline, ready to face the storm head-on. That evening, Anna sat at the kitchen table with Michael and Sarah, papers spread across the surface like weapons. Sarah explained, "Mark siphoned money, hiding accounts. If we prove this, his credibility crumbles." Michael leaned in, eyes sharp, "But it means exposing more of the past too. He'll retaliate." Anna's hands shook as she traced the numbers on the page, realization dawning. She whispered, "Then so be it. I can't keep running from the past." Silence fell heavy, the decision solidifying in her bones. Daniel peeked in, curious, asking, "Are you okay, Mom?" Anna forced a smile, "I'm stronger than ever." The truth was jagged, but strength surged behind the words. Michael and Sarah exchanged a look of quiet respect, knowing the fight ahead was brutal. For the first time, Anna felt not alone but surrounded. She whispered to herself, "This is the family I choose, the one I'll protect with everything." The next day in court, Sarah's evidence was presented. The lawyer placed the documents on the judge's bench, explaining calmly how Mark siphoned money to discredit Anna. Courtroom buzzed, whispers rising like a tide. Mark's smirk faltered, his face tightening as the truth cracked through his lies. Anna's heart raced as her lawyer declared, "This pattern of deceit undermines every claim he's made." Mark slammed his fist softly against the table, his lawyer whispering urgently. The judge leaned forward, eyes sharp with scrutiny. Anna's hands trembled, but a spark of triumph lit her chest. She whispered to herself, "This is the beginning." For the first time, she saw Mark shaken, cracks in his arrogance visible. The room still bristled with tension, but the tide shifted slightly in her favor. Michael and Sarah exchanged proud glances from the benches, silent pillars of strength behind her. Anna sat taller, courage radiating despite her exhaustion. That night, the apartment felt lighter, though the fight was far from over. Anna tucked Daniel into bed, his sleepy eyes searching hers. "You're not going to leave me, right?" he whispered. Her throat tightened, but she smiled softly, brushing his hair back. "Never. I'll always be here." His small arms wrapped around her neck, the purest anchor against the storm. She lingered beside him, heart swelling with love and determination. In the living room, Michael and Sarah waited, their quiet presence a reminder she was not alone. Anna joined them, exhaling deeply. "Today was a start, but tomorrow will be harder," Sarah replied firmly. "Then we'll face it together." Michael added, "You're stronger than you know." Anna felt the truth in their words, fragile but real. She whispered to herself, "We are not broken. We're just beginning to fight." For the first time, her reflection in the window looked less like a victim and more like a warrior. The courtroom was hushed, the tension thick as Anna took the stand. Her palms were slick with sweat, but she steadied her voice. The opposing lawyer circled like a predator, throwing questions meant to wound. "Eo, isn't it true you struggle to pay rent? That you work late nights leaving your child alone?" Each word struck like a whip, but she lifted her chin, answering firmly, "I have given everything to ensure my son is cared for." Mark smirked from across the aisle, his eyes sharp with cruelty. The judge's gavel struck lightly, demanding calm. Anna swallowed her fear, her heart hammering against her ribs. She thought of Daniel's laughter, his drawings, his whispered promises. Her strength surged. "Struggle doesn't mean failure," she declared, her voice cracking but unbroken. "It means sacrifice. And I would sacrifice everything for my child." Silence swept the room, her truth cutting through the lies. For a moment, even Mark faltered. Michael's testimony followed, his voice steady but lined with regret. He admitted his past failures, but his words defended Anna fiercely. "She has raised her son with love and resilience," he declared, glancing toward her. Mark's lawyer pressed, "And you abandoned her once, didn't you?" Michael's shoulders stiffened, guilt flashing in his eyes. He nodded, "Yes, but I will not abandon her again." His voice cracked but held firm. Anna watched, stunned by the vulnerability she once thought impossible. Mark shifted uncomfortably, his arrogance cracking as Michael's words painted Anna as the survivor she truly was. Sarah leaned forward from the benches, her eyes filled with pride. Anna's chest swelled with both pain and hope. The past was no longer a shackle, it was a weapon, reshaped by truth. For the first time, Anna believed she might not only survive, but win. Her brother's voice echoed, "She deserves justice, and so does her child." The courtroom erupted as Mark was called to the stand. His confident smirk remained, but his voice carried an edge of unease. He painted himself as the victim, claiming Anna was unstable, careless, unworthy. But under cross-examination, cracks appeared. The lawyer revealed inconsistencies, financial records Sarah had uncovered. Mark's face flushed red, his words stumbling. "Those accounts aren't mine," he snapped, but the documents told a different story. Murmurs spread through the courtroom. The judge's brow furrowed deeply. Anna's breath caught, her chest tight, as she realized the tide was shifting. For years, Mark had twisted her pain into weakness, but now the truth spoke louder than his venom. He slammed a hand on the stand, shouting, "Shall never be enough." The judge's gavel thundered, silencing the outburst. Anna's eyes met his, not with fear, but with defiance. For the first time, he looked small, his power stripped away by his own lies. As closing arguments began, Anna's lawyer spoke with measured power. "This case isn't about wealth or appearances. It's about sacrifice and love. Anna has faced every storm, not for herself, but for her child." His words resonated like a hammer striking steel. Mark's lawyer countered, his arguments unraveling in desperation, but the damage was already done. Anna felt the eyes of the room on her, not with judgment, but with recognition. Her hands trembled, yet her spirit soared. She thought of Daniel's smile, the nights spent soothing his fears, the laughter that kept her alive. Tears threatened, but she held steady, refusing to break. When her lawyer finished, silence filled the courtroom. Even Mark avoided her gaze, his bravado shattered. The judge called for recess, his expression grave yet thoughtful. Anna exhaled, shoulders sagging with exhaustion, but for the first time, hope outweighed despair. The fight wasn't over, but victory no longer felt impossible. That night, back at home, Anna sat on the edge of Daniel's bed, watching him sleep. The echoes of the courtroom still rang in her ears, but her son's steady breathing grounded her. She whispered softly, "We're closer, sweetheart. I promise." Michael and Sarah sat quietly in the living room, giving her space. The weight of the day pressed down, but so did the strength she had found. She realized the battle was not just about custody, but about reclaiming herself. Mark's lies had tried to define her, but she had spoken truth. She smoothed Daniel's hair, pressing a kiss to his forehead. "No matter what happens, you'll never be alone." For the first time, she believed her own words. Outside, the city lights flickered, distant but steady, like beacons in the dark. Anna sat back, exhaustion pulling her down, but her heart carried a fire that no courtroom could extinguish. The final day of court arrived. Anna entered the room with her head high, nerves pulsing but spirit unbroken. Mark sat rigid, his lawyer whispering frantically. The judge's expression was stern as he prepared to deliver his decision. Anna clasped her hands together, whispering silently, "Please." The words weren't just for victory, but for freedom. The gavel struck once, echoing like thunder. "Custody is awarded to Anna." Gasps filled the room, and Mark's face contorted with rage. Anna's breath rushed out, tears spilling freely as she clutched Michael's hand. Sarah squeezed her shoulder from behind, her eyes glistening. For the first time, Anna felt the chains of fear loosen. Mark rose, shouting angrily, but the bailiff restrained him. Anna didn't look back. She closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "We're free." The words wrapped around her like armor. The battle had left scars, but in that moment, triumph outweighed the pain. Outside the courthouse, Anna stood in the sunlight, the air fresher than she remembered in years. Cameras flashed in the distance, reporters shouting questions, but she ignored them. Daniel ran into her arms, his laughter breaking the tension. She lifted him high, spinning once, whispering, "We did it, baby." Michael stood nearby, his face solemn but proud. Sarah hugged them both, her eyes bright with joy. Anna felt the weight of scars still pressing on her chest, but also the power of survival. She whispered to Daniel, "This is the start of something new." He grinned, replying, "Just us?" She kissed his forehead, smiling, "Just us, and everyone who loves us." The courthouse loomed behind them, but Anna didn't look back. The sun was warm, the sky wide open. For the first time in years, she felt the horizon wasn't closing in, but expanding before her, full of possibility. Back at home, Anna placed Daniel's drawing back on the fridge, smoothing it flat with her palm. The stick figures under the sun looked brighter now, as if the paper carried new meaning. Daniel tugged her sleeve, grinning, "We should make a new one." She laughed softly, the sound foreign yet welcome. Michael sat at the table, sipping coffee, his expression weary but lighter than before. Sarah unpacked groceries, humming under her breath. The apartment no longer felt heavy with despair, but alive with possibility. Anna whispered, "We're going to be okay." Daniel leaned against her, replying, "We already are." The words pierced her heart with joy. She knew the scars would linger, but so would their strength. The quiet hum of family filled the space, the kind she thought she'd lost forever. She realized then that home wasn't just walls or safety, it was love rebuilt from broken pieces. Later that evening, Anna sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. For years they had felt like reminders of loneliness, but now they seemed like promises of tomorrow. Michael joined her quietly, his voice soft. "I'll make up for lost time." She nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "We can't erase the past," she replied, "but we can build something better." Sarah tucked Daniel into bed, his laughter echoing faintly before fading into soft snores. Anna pressed her forehead to the glass, whispering, "We survived." The words were not bitter this time, but full of hope. Michael placed a hand on her shoulder, steady and silent. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe in healing, not just survival. The night outside was endless, but the warmth in her chest was brighter than it had ever been. The night ended in quiet peace. Anna stood at Daniel's door, her hand resting gently on the frame. His breathing was steady, his small form curled under the blanket. She whispered, "We'll be okay, stronger now." She closed the door softly and walked into the kitchen. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of the fridge, but it no longer felt empty. She poured herself a glass of water, looking out the window where the moon shone bright. She thought of every battle, every betrayal, every tear shed, and realized they had led her here, to strength, to freedom. A smile broke across her face, real and unguarded. She whispered, "We're stronger now, and we'll never stop fighting." The words were not just a vow but a truth, echoing in her chest. For the first time, peace was not just a dream, but a reality waiting to be lived.